This is a blogcast by UX Design Agency. Listen to our blog articles in audio format and get all the latest insights and knowledge about creating demanded digital financial products with the power of UX design. My goal and my mission of today is to guide all of you through 5 milestones on the road toward building an emotional connection with customers and becoming a loved and demanded financial brand. But I would like to start with an open-ended question, and it goes as follows. What differentiates loved brands that the customers remain loyal to in the long term from average companies that strive to survive? To be honest, it's not about the size of the company nor the budget available. Actually, it is all about the mindset, the way that brands view the world and their customers. So the question is, as my specialty is user experience, the question is, what is the way that customers want to be viewed by the brands? Most of US customers only consider brands that show they care and understand the needs and expectations of their clients. When it comes to the digital age we are all living in right now, the business focus is rapidly shifting from IQ to EQ, from intellect to emotion. What I mean by that is that the thinking of the brands is shifting from rational aspects like different performance metrics and like more focus on product features to emotional aspects like the satisfaction of the customers and the satisfaction also of the employees and building relationships. EQ is actually all about the emotional impact the product or the service of the brand has on people's lives. The shift we are witnessing requires to put the customers in the center of all business operations, starting from product design and leading to marketing. This is what at UXDA we call the experience mindset. It is a way that a financial brand thinks, acts, and also perceives the whole world to make it a better place for people to live in. In this kind of mindset, the financial company and all of its employees view the customers as friends or even as family members, aiming to help them the best way possible. To understand the customers and demonstrate and show care, loved brands have highly developed empathy skills, which is the main topic of my today's speech and also the conference. Currently, during the pandemic, emotional intelligence and empathy are more important than ever. I'm not the first presenter in this conference that is saying that. There's no doubt about that. And this applies not only to our interpersonal relationships, but also to the connection between brands and their customers. In fact, as you can see, most Americans agree that if brands want to create greater loyalty, it's critical they show greater empathy. The same study displays the top 5 ways consumers ask for brands to be empathetically included during the pandemic. We can see that customers require respect to being treated like human beings, to being listened to being cared about, and also it's important for them that the brands acknowledge when they are wrong. If currently the main focus is shifting towards customer empathy, only a few decades ago, product and sales-centered mindset dominated. We could call this time the industrial age. And this, of course, had a direct impact of the role of marketers as well. The essence of this age was to create a pleasant package for the fast-moving consumer goods, promote it and sell it, giving profit to the company. The industrial age was mainly characterized by offline demand, offline advertising, and the 4 Ps of marketing you are all probably very well aware of and familiar with. The digital age switched the focus from the 4 Ps of marketing to the so-called 4 Es. So what do these 4 Es include? First one is experience instead of product. Second is exchange of true value and benefit instead of simply earning profit through a high price. The third one is evangelism instead of promotion. And this one is about the power of word of mouth and customers who are so satisfied with the product or with the service that they actually become the brand ambassadors. And here we can also mention the impact of social media and the network effect and the network economy that allows people to share their experience with thousands of others all around the world. And the final E is every place instead of just place due to digital distribution and digital channels. And here, actually, we could also add the fifth E. Any idea what could that be? Of course, the main topic of our today's conversation, empathy. As we can see, when I'm talking about all of this, user, not profit, is in the center of attention. When almost anyone is able to create a finance app like it is currently, and there are so many choices on the market, the experience, value, and care that the brand shows determine to which brand customers will choose to stick in the long run. So we explored the role of empathy through the perspective of the past and the present, but what about the future? Let's take a look at the future. In the nearest future, empathy will be more important than it is now. The fight for brand loyalty will just get harder and harder, and also the customer expectations and demands for a more personalized and better experience will keep on rapidly increasing. But so will the chances of satisfying those. The many future technologies like artificial intelligence, big data, machine learning, automatization have the ability to take customer experience to a brand new level. There's only one but. One of the preconditions for people to stick with a brand is to feel that they are treated like a person, not as a number. And here the question is, can a machine treat the customer as a person and not as a number? So, as we all know, what differentiates robots from people is our ability to feel emotions and empathy toward each other. This means that while the future tech might uncover almost superpowers for the mankind, it is up to the actual people behind the machines and behind the robots that will determine the success of the outcome. So, even though the traditional skills of marketers might be gradually substituted by machines, automatization, robots, and different kinds of tech, as long as there will be the need for empathy, there will be jobs for emotionally intellectual people. And this brings us back to the mindset. The success potential of the modern technology will be either expanded or limited, depending on the priorities that people behind the robots have. And what I mean by that is that even the most expensive, cool, futuristic innovation can become almost useless if it's operated by people who lack empathy and who are more focused on profit and sales than on customer centricity and making the customers happy and like really connecting with them. And the data, as you can see, supports it again. So what we can extract from all of this information and all of this data is that the successful financial brands of the future will be the ones that are able to unite the power of technological capabilities with the power of genuine empathy and emotional connection only us humans can create. So far, we have covered the importance of the customer-centered experience mindset. Further, in my presentation, we will explore 4 more actionable insights that any financial company can incorporate right away, right after my speech, without huge resources and 100% remotely, given the situation we are currently in. Langdon, are there any thoughts, comments, questions so far?
I think you have got their attention and they are really looking forward to continuing on because right now we don't have any questions. So I think they're ready for the next step.
Okay, great to hear. All right, so we continue with the next step on the road toward becoming a loved financial brand, and it is the framework of customer context. A key factor for choosing any kind of product or service is whether it will help to ease the specific struggles and problems people have. The products and services by successful brands live up to the user expectations and fulfill their specific needs that they have in any given situation, especially when it comes to such a specific case as the pandemic. As you can see by the stats, most customers find it a necessity for brands to understand their needs and expectations. Also, in the context of the pandemic, most of customers stated that they want brands to only speak about products in ways that show they are aware of the crisis and its impact on people's lives. During the pandemic, customers have emphasized that they want a compassionate connection, including brand messaging that communicates empathy and support with the specific struggles they face. To identify these specific struggles and customer needs and expectations, successful brands rely on deep empathy to explore 3 elements that are crucial for solving the problems that customers might face. And these 3 elements, as you can see, are the customer context, motives, and actions. I will explain these 3 elements through the human-centered problem solution cycle, taking into account the current pandemic context. As we go through this framework, you can imagine your customers of your brand and think about their specific needs and expectations. Okay, so we start with the context. First of all, a customer who is facing some kind of a specific problem has a context. There is external and internal context. External context is the daily routine and the lifestyle of the people. In terms of COVID, most people are working from home. Here in Latvia, the situation is not so critical, so quite a lot of people are working from the offices, but all around the world and in the US, people are working from home. And some have even lost their jobs, and some are struggling business owners, and there could be a lot of specific cases for each of the people. And all of this has a direct impact on their spendings as well as their long-term and short-term future goals. Then there is also the internal context, such as emotions and thoughts. Currently, as we know, many are living in fear about themselves, about their loved ones, about their futures and their homes and their lives. And this causes a lot of stress and negative emotions daily. So the next element is motives. Every customer has a specific motive for using the financial product or service. This is the job for which users hire the product. In the case of COVID-19, there could be plenty of motives for the customers to choose a financial product. For example, get a credit card without leaving their home, or maybe deposit some cash to account for online purchases. And the third element is action. There's always action that the user takes to achieve the solution that he or she needs. And customers use the product and interact with it. The task of the financial brand at this point is to ensure that the product provides a clear, enjoyable, and effective solution to customers' problems through, of course, an amazing customer experience. Here's a little video I will explain in a minute. And just to demonstrate how this customer context framework works in action, I want to share a short story from UXDA's experience. What you can see in your screens, the video, this was a 15-year-old, very complex core banking solution that was reborn through a very thorough UX transformation that we did. And when this client came to us, one of the first things we did, we started with finding out the customer context. And we did it by, at first, arranging user interviews. In this case, the users were banking employees. So we arranged interviews with 6 people, but at the day of the interviews, around 20 people showed up who heard about this opportunity to share their pain, actually, and were very eager to share their own experience. And what we found out was that all of the users had the same daily routine. They planned out their days by using paper calendars, and they had sticky notes all around their monitors and their desks. And also, the core banking solution led employees to mistakes and errors because it was so complex. When it came to the inner context, the employees felt frustrated, unmotivated, and stressed. As a result, customer satisfaction was decreasing as the services were slow and, of course, also ineffective. We were able to solve all of these problems by deeply empathizing with the employees. As a result, we created this brand new user experience for this back office, and the learning curve of new banking employees reduced from several months to only a week or so. And also, the potential human errors decreased, ensuring quite a big increase in service speed, employee productivity, happiness, motivation, and also customer satisfaction. This story was about banking employees as the main users, but the same framework and the same methodology can be applied when it comes to customers of your financial brand. So when it comes to practical actions, there are many ways that you can explore the customer context without hiring a UX agency to do a very deep and extensive user research. Some of the steps that you can take are finding out your brand's digital products ratings on Google Play and the App Store. Also, exploring reviews and feedback on social media and forums and other sites. You can also talk to the employees working at the support department to find out what are people calling most often about, what are their biggest struggles. And then there's also the possibility to explore the Net Promoter Score by asking the customers how likely they are to recommend your brand, as well as calculate the customer lifetime value, CLV. All right, so far we have explored the experience mindset as well as the customer context framework. What about questions, comments?
We had a really good question from, make sure I'm unmuted. We had a really good question from Jeff, and I think he asked a question that's really on everyone's mind watching the presentation, is that how do you create empathy with customers right now when the pandemic is forcing many of the institutions to put in place chat robots and those type of interfaces to support customers in this time of really great need that are overwhelming most digital channels?
Mm-hmm. This is a great question. Thank you, Jeff. What I want to encourage you to do is to view this unique situation of the pandemic as an opportunity to really build these emotional connections. And of course, there are gathering restrictions. People can't come to the branches, but we have to understand that at the moment, not so much marketing, but the communication in the digital channels and the digital presence is what creates this emotional bond. And it's actually the digital products and the way that you are able to serve people through your digital products, through online banking, through the application. It determines how people will perceive the face of the brand. Because now, more than ever, everything is digital. And when we don't have this interpersonal connection aspect, we need to build this emotional connection through the digital channels. I will touch on it in a more practical way further in my presentation, but I hope this partially at least answers your question, Jeff. Is there anything else at the moment, Langdon, or we can?
That looks good. I think that was the question on everyone's mind.
Okay, I hope there's a little bit more clarity about it right now. All right, so, and we will definitely get back to this question from different aspects further in my speech. So now it's time to talk about creating true value for the customers by using empathy. And as data shows, more than half of the surveyed US customers switched brands during the pandemic due to value provided, better prices, and delivery cost. They noted that care, convenience, quality, availability, and value are the key aspects that leave a positive impression on the customer. When it comes to availability and value, this goes together with my reply to the question. This data also demonstrates that digital channels aren't an alternative, but the main channel for brands to reach their customers and communicate that they care, especially right now during the pandemic. It's clear that an empathetic business approach is one of the key competitive advantages of any brands and also financial brands. And this allows creating products and services that bring true value and benefit to the people using those. I want to guide you through another framework that is called the value pyramid. It consists of 5 interconnected levels, which are functionality, usability, aesthetics, status, and mission. It's possible to successfully reach the next level only by completing the previous one. And while I explain each of these levels, you can think about the financial brand that you represent and think about on which level are you currently at. So we start with functionality. At the beginning of my presentation, if you remember, we already touched down on the shift from IQ to EQ, from rationality to emotion. And when it comes to the value pyramid that aims to satisfy the growing needs of customers, the very basic functionality level can be associated with IQ. It's all about the basic product features and user scenarios such as checking the balance or transferring money. But as the number of alternatives that connect with users on higher levels of the pyramid rises, it is not enough with just plain functionality level to become a really loved brand that's able to create this emotional connection. It means that we need to go a level higher. And besides the rational features of the product, a successful brand is connected with its customers on an emotional level. And it means satisfying the user needs and expectations in the specific context. This refers to the customer-centered problem solution cycle that we already explored. And usability brings functionality to the next level by providing a great customer experience, not only through the digital products, but also to the customer support and so on. And this leads us to the next level. If a financial brand has functionality and usability well developed, it's possible to add aesthetics that create positive emotions that inspire the customers and wow them. And a step further, even greater value on the EQ level can be achieved by connecting the product with the customer's lifestyle. It means personalizing it for a specific audience of a product. It could be VIP or family or students or millennials, seniors, and so forth, so on. And finally, the highest level of the value pyramid is providing ultimate value through stating a mission. This means that the financial brand aims to leave a positive legacy by making the world a better place and building a community around it. Some things that you can do right now is exploring on which of these levels is your brand currently at. And also, you can use the same framework to evaluate your competitors. And by getting to know the specific needs and expectations of customers, it's possible to successfully complete the level that you are currently at and move on to the next ones, ensuring more and more reasons for customers to love your brand. All right, so far we have gone through the experience mindset and how to adopt it and how to do that by taking into account the customer context and emotional intelligence. Langdon, is there something for you to add at this point?
Well, Jamie made a really interesting comment, and I'm going to try to put it into context a little bit. You know, her question is, where do you think most financial institutions fall on the pyramid today? And what I would really want to add to that is that for so many financial institutions, it was always about convenience, 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 convenience. Can you kind of answer that question in the context of where are people today, and what should they be aspiring to, particularly the smaller community financial institutions that make up the majority of our members?
That's a great question. Thank you. Yeah, indeed. I'll go back to the slide of the pyramid. Well, how to put it better? From one side, you could say, unfortunately, From other side, you could say there's a lot of possibility for growth. But to be honest, then most of financial institutions are currently pretty much at the functionality stage, because people are able to do their daily scenarios, but it causes quite a lot of struggle, and the user experience, the level of user experience is quite low. Not even talking about positive emotions that the service would cause through some, for example, gaming elements or interactions. In the video I showed you with the core banking, we integrated some even gaming elements there. So what is happening currently in the finance industry is that fintechs are trying to go up the levels, and they take the basic functionality that the banks have, and they build up, they create a great UX, they work on the interface to look modern, to catch the eye, but at the same time to be nice to use. They connect to the status of the customers. A lot of fintechs are oriented towards millennials and the younger generations. So they create these applications, social media like. And also the mission statement is becoming more and more popular for these kind of fintechs. I know that there are some of challenger banks and fintechs that have a mission statement of making the planet greener. So when you open the app, they show you how many trees you have planted somewhere in some regions. But here it's very important to understand that in order to succeed at the highest level, it's very important to have highly developed all the previous levels. Because in this case, about this challenger bank who is planting trees, which is a mission, and they are building a community around it, that's nice. But at the same time, they are really struggling at the usability and functionality levels, because when the user opens up this application, the first thing that he expects to see is the balance, but instead he sees the count of trees, and this causes quite a lot of disappointment. So yeah, if we go back to banking, then banks should really use the power of the legacy and the trust that people have in them, and build up on that by developing the functionality level, so that it's not only functional, but it also is very nice to use and nice to look at, and so the banking can climb up each level and make these emotional connections even stronger with their customers. And we will also touch down on this later in the presentation, but I hope that I replied to the question.
No, I think that's super useful. Many of the institutions really have stepped away from proclaiming their mission, because to older audiences, it wasn't as central. And I believe that to younger audiences, it has enormous appeal. And so I believe it's a natural fit and very comfortable, but it is a shift.
Definitely, because currently people, the unique situation, the digital age, all of these circumstances are making people more and more socially responsible. We have all of these kinds of movements happening. So really, the financial brands that show ethical and transparent and emotional and caring attitude toward their clients are more and more chosen over other brands that are just simply offering the functionality level. And I will have a great example about this one later. So I will keep you posted about that one a little bit later. Is there anything else, Langdon?
Yes, I think that I didn't know whether to push it in a little bit later, because I know where you're going to go with it, but I'll throw it out there as a question from Stephen about how, if you're a smaller institution and your technology is tied to the core, which are inflexible and impossible, how do you create what kind of suggestions do you have for them to help them, create a better experience within the limited ability they have to create a better experience?
Definitely. So if the technological capabilities are limited, it's very important to focus really on the mindset. I would have the whole team together to discuss maybe the value pyramid, maybe the principles of the experience mindset, and to understand what is the way that the company views their customers and what are the unique needs, struggles, expectations that the customers have, and what are the ways that the company can move a step closer to their customers, even without these technological capabilities. Because what I am emphasizing throughout my speech is that you don't necessarily need huge resources to have this gigantic UX transformation and super modern app and everything. There's so much that you can do already by just starting to think in a different way, stepping into the shoes of the customers and starting to view the world through their eyes, starting to view your products, your communication, your marketing, your inner culture through the eyes of the customers. How do that mirrors to them? Because very often, and I will talk about that, I think, in the next segment that we are just starting out, there's quite a big perception gap between how financial brands perceive their products, their communication, and their experience. And the picture that the customers see is something like totally different. So the fact that starting from the culture and the mindset, it already opens up possibilities for you to act on, even without these resources or technological capabilities. I hope that answers that.
And I would just want to just kind of throw in that, look at the challenger banks. Look at your website and look at your checking account. And if you've got proudly, proclaim that you give free checks, then you can start rethinking your product. And that's a big part, I think, what the whole point of this presentation is. It's not going back into the core. It's not changing the key attributes of your products, of what you do. It's reimagining them in such a way that they're relevant to customers who are probably going to never come into a branch. So why are you talking about free checking, free telephone banking, free online banking? These folks this is irrelevant to them, and they want to see it all right there on their hand.
Exactly. Great, Langdon. Thank you. Okay, so I think we can move forward because you have very great questions. Thank you very much for those, and they're in sync with what I am telling and what I will tell more about further. So the next element on the road toward becoming a loved brand and building this emotional connection is a framework that demonstrates a practical way to integrate experience mindset, user centricity, and empathy into the financial brand to ensure a rapid and empathic digitalization. And this framework is called the financial UX formula that maximizes the success of financial brands. I started my presentation with a question: what differentiates loved brands from average companies? And my main answer was mindset, not huge financial resources or other resources, but mindset. But to be honest, there are three more factors that play a key role in this one. And those are product experience, design approach, and market distribution that is powered by value. So this formula determines where the financial business is right now and what are the possibilities to increase its emotional intelligence and success potential. Let's go through it. So the first element of the formula is product quality raised to the power of experience. This refers to the IQ EQ shift we already discussed. It means that the main focus of the financial brand is on the experience and the emotion that the product provides, not so much on its features. The more empathetic the attitude towards the customers and the better the experience, the higher are the brand's chances of achieving long-term customer loyalty and trust. And a practical way of creating a delightful experience is based on exploring the customer context I already guided you through. So the second element of the formula is business model powered by design. And here it's important to understand that design is not meant as a package or as a marketing tool, but as an empathetic approach that puts the customer in the center of all business operations and allows you and your team to view the world through the eyes of the customers. Integrating design thinking and user centricity at all levels of the financial company rapidly increases the success potential of becoming a loved and demanded brand. And the third component is market distribution powered by value. And here we can go back to the different roles of marketers throughout different ages. There were industrial age and digital age and the future. So in the industrial age, it was possible to boost the marketing budget to reach more people and convince them to buy the product, sometimes even not the best quality product. But in the digital age, as we all know, working in marketing, it does not work like that anymore. It is not possible to fool people, and it's not possible to sell a bad quality product with engaging marketing campaign and a great slogan, because people quickly will learn about the experience behind the product and share it with their peers on social media or posting a review somewhere else. And that's why financial brands gain market advantage by offering true value and benefit for the customers through their products. So it's actually finding out what the customers seek, what they need, what they expect, and then look for ways and possibilities to satisfy these needs and to help them with the resources that your company has. And if we're talking about the market distribution, especially in the circumstances of the pandemic, as we know, mass sales have suffered because people choose products that provide real value and ease their daily struggles, not just are nice to have. And in fact, when it comes to the pandemic, most have noted that they want brand advertising to focus on how brands help people cope with pandemic-related life challenges. So when it comes to market distribution, value-oriented, empathetic brand messaging is what characterizes loved brands. And of course, the final element of the financial UX formula is experience mindset that we already covered in depth. So again, the main thing here is that you put the customer in the center of all operations and in the center of attention. And if you look at the formula itself, there's a multiplication sign, as you can see, between product quality and the business model. It's because these two elements are closely affected by each other. Market distribution is added, not multiplied, because business success still can be achieved through, for example, word of mouth without huge marketing budget in some cases. And the experience mindset is multiplied by all the elements in the brackets, because as I already mentioned several times, it's the most powerful element that any successful brand has at the basis of their operations and culture. And again, I'm not talking about huge resources and technology, but the way of thinking and the way of viewing your product through the eyes of the customers. The formula might seem a little bit complex. I don't know, but what it felt like for you. But you can read more about it in depth at UXDA's blog if you are interested. But what can you do right now is to identify the quality of all of these four elements that I just described by asking the following questions. And here they are. The first one is, what kind of experience do your products provide? Do you perceive design as an approach or as a package in your team? Are your products and services based on value and benefit for the customers? And is your financial brand primarily focused on serving customers or on making profit? So these are questions you can think about. And so we have arrived at the last, but certainly not least step on this road we have been walking down together today. And it is emotional connection. In the digital age, it is not enough with a modern app, convenient usability, great experience, and so on. Customers seek an emotional bond with the brand. People who have an emotional connection with the brand have a much higher willingness to stay loyal to the brand in the long term and also recommend the company, compared to customers that are satisfied with the experience but don't feel emotionally connected. And here's interesting regarding also one of the questions that you asked. When customers compare their digital experiences, there's often a gap between the usability and experience of social media like Facebook and Instagram and their banking app. And this actually causes disappointment, because customers are used to the experience of the big tech products that is often very smooth and enjoyable. And then a question arises for the customers. Why can't my banking experience be the same as it is for Facebook or Instagram? And this is the reason why the financial products developed by the big tech are predicted to dominate the solutions provided by the traditional players. In the video currently, you can see the super banking app designed by UXDA. We based it on social media-like interactions. It's a banking app, but it acts like a social media feed where you can see the financial activity also of your friends. Let me explain why people prefer social media over finances from the psychology perspective. The human brain is not designed to budget or to calculate. Actually, as you can see, the irrational, unconscious emotions drive 80% of our behavior. So actually, it's only natural that people perceive finances as something complex and sometimes boring. And successful financial brands take this knowledge into account and address people in a language that they understand through emotions. And I already touched down on this one as well. I will repeat myself a little bit, but this one is quite an important one. Often, something that seems self-evident for finance professionals might remind the Chinese alphabet for the customers. And in fact, there's quite a big perception gap between how customers and the companies view the experience of their products and their services. In fact, 80% of CEOs believe that the experience they deliver is superior, while only 8% of customers can agree with that. So, successful financial brands have realized that they need to integrate user centricity into the whole banking ecosystem. Every product, every aspect of the business, every employee, every department. So the whole organization, it doesn't matter whether it's huge or it's small or it's medium sized. So that the whole organization is united in serving the customers and really caring about them, not to make profit or not to make a great marketing campaign and attract people, but because they really do care about them. And yes, this is the way that brands communicate to the world that they care about their customers. And when they do that, they receive the love and loyalty of the clients in exchange. And this is the example I mentioned before. If we are talking about empathy in banking and in financial services and a statement of mission and emotions, I have to mention a unique conversational banking product that will be entering the US market in the end of next month. It launches on November 30th. Yeah, and it's called Bella. And it is a banking experience 100% powered by love and empathy that, as they position themselves, is injecting beauty into the banking industry. And of course, we are very glad to be a part of this product. And the main aim of this new fintech is to really stand out from most of the other banking services who are, as we already found out, in more like in the functionality and the usability level, by speaking to the users through the language of emotions and deeply empathizing their needs and addressing those in a unique and colorful way that causes a lot of positive emotions. And they have this philosophy to build a community that genuinely wants to create a better world for everyone. So they are very focused on kindness, on people being kind toward each other, the users of this app. For example, one of the features of this product is the so-called Karma account, to which users can transfer money, and then Bella will randomly.
The pen is what, 2001, right? Yeah, okay. I was just making sure. Maybe I'm an idiot.
Sorry, is there some kind of sound? Okay. So this Karma account, when users can transfer money to another account, and Bella randomly selects people to cover their purchases. And although this process is anonymous, but both customers, the sender and the receiver, can see their first name in their feed. And this creates an emotional connection between these two people who probably don't even understand, don't even know each other, but who know that there has been this act of kindness and positive emotion between them. Okay, so we have arrived at the action plan of this last segment. So as we found out, it's important to think not only about great usability and UX, but also about the integration of personalized positive experiences that form emotional connection. And to keep up with the experiences delivered by the big tech, finance companies can find out what users love about their products and think about the possible ways, the available ways to create a more emotionally engaging experience for their products and their communication. And finally, it's often useful to honestly ask, does your brand experience convey that it puts the customers first, cares about them, and provides needed solutions and wants to help them in any way possible? Because when the answer to this question will be a confident yes, and not from your side, but from the viewpoint of your customers, there will be really like no obstacles toward becoming a loved financial brand. Okay, so far this has been our journey. And also, I already mentioned UXDA's blog before, but if you are interested in these frameworks I was talking about today, you can explore them in depth at UXDA's blog. We have more than 100 articles. And also, we have the Financial UX podcast hosted by me, and it's available on almost all the major podcast platforms. And as I have arrived at the end of my presentation, there is one more thing I would like to emphasize. As we all know, the pandemic has been a hard hit for the whole world. Nobody expected it. Nobody could really predict it, but it is what happened with the damage and with the consequences. But as you probably know from your own personal lives, hardships usually demonstrate the real face of people and determine whether a relationship will break or it will grow stronger than ever. And the exact same applies to your relationship with customers. If they understand that the brand has their back, really cares about them, and is actively looking for more and more ways and possibilities with the resources they have to help these people, the company will receive trust, loyalty, and respect in such scope and intensity that wouldn't be possible outside of the context of the crisis. So I really encourage you to view this time as an opportunity to help your customers and to build relationships that could last a lifetime. This was the audio version of UXDA's blog article. If you wish to read the full version and gain insights from our other articles, visit UXDA's blog at uxdesignagency.com or find us on Medium by the name of UXDA. Let's add emotions to banking and transform the financial industry together.